Steven Crowder's back from vacation, I guess?
I don't know how long he's been on vacation, but he's back to like be noticeable, I guess.
Okay. And we've been seeing an interesting split on the right that we've just talked about a bit in the context of the Tucker Carlson interview on Israel. You know, like Ben Shapiro, obviously massive Zionist, has taken some heat from his audience for his full-throated support for this genocide. And then you have the Marjorie Taylor Greens, the Tucker Carlsons, the Candace Owens of the world, who are framing the genocide of Palestinians as in some way discriminatory towards Christians and trying to, you know, attack it from an isolationist perspective, which is earnest, but also has these anti-Jewish undertones to it. And so where will Steven Crowder land? How will he land this plane? Will he be able to do so convincingly? I'm actually genuinely curious. I haven't seen this yet. Matt, you can set this up.
Well, this video is called "This Fall Off Needs to Be Studied," and it's about Tucker Carlson. So here is...
Wait, okay, so fall off, definitionally he's not, because I don't love this fact, but he's one of the top political podcasts in the country.
Yeah, and Crowder is, you know, like I said, beneath notice most of the time.
Yeah, all right.
So a little bit of projection here, but here is Zionist Steven Crowder.
Oh.
It's lazy propaganda. And I'll just use one quick example, like how many, have there ever been Palestinians or Hamas who have threatened America? Well, yeah, of course, threatened Americans. Yeah, of course, death to America.
That's the so-called threat. So in the context of this conversation, they say actually Palestinians or even Hamas doesn't actually threaten America, even though they say death to America. The reason they say that is because we're the one giving Israel all of the weapons. But there's not actually, they don't target Americans. That's something Israel does and gets away with it.
Israel has certainly killed Americans directly.
Exactly.
U.S. Currently Palestinian Americans, but we can look up the USS Liberty and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly. They get away with it because of people like Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
And Christians do need to not take Steven's route on this. I'll just say that.
An individual American on American soil? Well, no, because we've had security measures to make sure that doesn't happen.
What?
It's silly.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. A missile from Iran couldn't reach this country. We don't have that capacity. Palestinians don't have an airport. They don't have an army. They don't have a long-range weaponry. Are we serious? What is he talking about here? They can't even hit Israel with rockets. You think they can hit the United States?
Steven Crowder subscribes wholly to the post-9/11 hysteria where people like leaders, Zionists in the Project for a New American Century were blaming Palestinians for the hijackings with zero information because it served the interest of Israel and what they want to do in terms of having a pretense to massacre people and then take their land.
It's lazy, it's dumb. And considering how aggressively Tucker Carlson goes after people with whom we would agree more. For example, Ted Cruz is not perfect. He annoys me, if anything.
Yeah.
Oh.
But certainly would align with him on more things than a Hamas apologist.
Yes.
We're going to contrast the follow-ups, the pressing, the leading questions of a lady like this who just said Hamas.
A nun, a Christian nun, is who he's calling a Hamas apologist.
No, come on. Have they ever killed an American, threatened an American on American soil here? Whoa, hold on a second. I thought we were going to have an honest discussion. So let's go to who first. Who is Mother Stephanopoulos? Of course, George Stephanopoulos' sister, former Clinton advisor and broadcaster, George Stephanopoulos. This is his sister. She's obviously been connected for quite a while. She's a U.S.-born Russian Orthodox nun. She does have a very long history of flat-out lying, just to be clear, factually, in a verifiable way, lying. So
verifiable way. We're going to look at the sources that Crowder cites here. Things like the Jerusalem Post or the let's play.
2002 Palestinian terrorists seized the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem.
No. So this is the siege of the Nativity in Bethlehem. This is during the Second Intifada, which was provoked by Israel, storming the Temple Mount or the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and also the sort of insult that was the Oslo Accords. So so what happens is a bunch of Palestinians take refuge inside this Church of the Nativity, and Israel lays siege to it for 40 days. And here's a Franciscan monk at the time. Let's just see, like, I guess maybe this guy's a Hamas supporter, as Stephen Crowder would like to say, but let's see who he blames.
I've been warning for days now that an attack is imminent. And on behalf of my brothers calling on the church and the world to intervene with the Israeli government to persuade it not to launch it. What we have heard instead are lying promises, day after day, hour after hour, from the Israeli government to the whole world that they will never attack. There were signs of an impending attack. There were many signs.
So Israel was saying that the Christians are lying, that we're holding up with the Palestinians in this church, that they were lying. They were actually held hostages, and the Israelis were trying to save them from being held hostage by the Palestinians. No, Stephanopoulos' sister was one of the Christians who was in the church saying, no, actually, Israel needs to back the fuck off and stop storming all of our shit. And Crowder is just taking that hook, line, and sinker. It is disgraceful how much he's willing to, like, I'm sorry, like, overlook Christians and listen to the Israeli state's line on all these things. So this is who he cites. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it makes sense, though, given what, like, his lack of popularity, because we're seeing this, too, now. It was just in Axios that Israel is openly courting right-wing influencers, and I would imagine that there are some people that are very much interested, including a guy like Tim Pool, who met with him, and Dave Rubin, Benjamin Netanyahu, that is, are very interested in some extra subsidization for their content.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to read this quote that's up there right now, if you could put this up, Brian. And let's see, like, in 2025, if we're who we want to be skeptical of this claims here. Israeli army spokesmen say statements made by the priests indicate that the clergy in the church are being held hostage by Palestinian militants. A spokesman for the Franciscan order told reporters that the clergy inside were voluntary hostages who were remaining in the church to show solidarity with trapped Palestinians because they believed that their presence in the church would help avoid future bloodshed. And Crowder puts that up on screen, very small, I might add, probably too small to read in this brief moment that he puts it up. But he's saying the Christians are lying. Trust the Israelis.
Lying. So in 2002, Palestinian terrorists seized the Church of Nativity in Bethlehem, and they took monks as hostages, and she misrepresented a whole lot of their string of emails written by her.
I was just saying, these are citing the Jewish press, and I couldn't access this article when I tried to earlier, but I'll just say I don't trust that source. I'll take the Franciscan monks, those liars. I'll take their word over it.
I mean, I just went to the Jewish Press website, and the first article is Judea and Samaria, summer is here. Looking for something to do?
What a shock! Exactly. I mean, this is Crowder's news. Trust that over the Christians or the Catholics, right, Stephen?
Israeli soldiers of shooting up a medical clinic, defecating on its floor, looting.
Oh yeah, let's get this. He's saying this is lies. This actually sounds exactly like the IDF. I mean, again, 2025, buddy. Let's update our priors.
Hostages, and she misrepresented a whole lot of their string of emails written by her accusing Israeli soldiers of shooting up a medical clinic, defecating on its floor, looting, robbing Palestinian homes. Sometimes there are articles that say she accused people falsely of rape. Now, keep in mind, she always said this is what...
Where were those articles? Were those from the Jewish press too, Stephen?
Someone else told me. She's never experienced this herself or seen it herself and admitted as much, but it didn't stop her from going to the press. She also describes terrorists as not terrorists. Sometimes she...
Yeah. Oh. So as for the gunmen who taken over the Church of Nativity, again, she said that they're voluntarily. For the most part, they claim they are not terrorists, but policemen and parishioners of these churches, husbands and brothers trying to defend their homes. Who are you gonna believe? The IDF, who has been calling everyone they massacre terrorists, every Palestinian a terrorist, or again, the Franciscan monks.
Describes them as policemen, parishioners, husbands, and fathers. So you can check all the references. That's who this person is, if you want to know the motivations there and how much you would align with this person's perspective. Let me just rattle off a few examples of so clearly factually inaccurate statements that were pushed back on 0%, so you can kind of guess how the rest of the interview goes. Here's the very first claim that she makes. She says that the Christian population in Israel is declining.
Well, that's a good point, Emma. That's what's happening right now, which is that the Christians do need to hear what this woman has to say. What's going on in their supposed Holy Land. They should hear it. And Steven Crowder is poisoning the well to try to protect that from ever happening. That's all that's happening right here.
Yeah.
That were two examples of so clearly factually inaccurate statements that were pushed back on 0%, so you can kind of guess how the rest of the interview goes. Here's the very first claim that she makes. She says that the Christian population in Israel is declining. Go.
I keep reading that the Christian population in the region has declined dramatically since Israel became a state in 1948.
Right.
Wrong.
And I'm not quite sure why.
Israel has continued to grow and think that they can dominate the Christian areas, the areas of Palestine. So they make it very difficult for anyone else to be able to live there.
But I'm just still confused by the idea that the Christian population is declining under Israeli rule.
Yeah.
You would think just the opposite.
They do not want any Palestinians there. So the majority of Christians in Israel and Palestine are Palestinian. So they have to leave too.
Okay, let's put the conflation that she does on I'm using the term loosely, on the side here. And you know what? This should be fine. A lot of people are afraid because there's some, I'll tell you this, but there's some dirty pool that takes place if people criticize Tucker, and you're not part of the Cool Kids Club. I keep reading that the Christian population has declined there since Israel has become, since they've gained statehood. Well, where are you reading that? Because Israel's Christian population is increasing. From 23 to 24 recently, it's been an increase of 0.6%, and it's grown by 5 times. The Christian population has multiplied by 5 since 48.
Okay, actually, I want to see that source. And maybe we can pause for a sec, and you guys, because I want to run through the rest of it too. But like, this is the same argument that they're using against Palestinians, because Palestinians have no access to basic health care and things like contraceptive care. And they are also very young as a population compared to other populations, because even prior to the genocide, they don't have the luxury of getting old, or they leave. And so, yes, their population grows because they don't have contraception and stuff like that. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a common thing that people under occupation, not just Gaza or Palestine, West Bank in general, but anywhere, because there's not a whole lot else to do. The conditions lead to certain things of like that. Like, that's a pretty common thing. But he's wrong here. Let's let him finish this claim.
Okay.
About, like, he goes back to 1948 too.
From 23 to 24. Because Israel's Christian population is increasing. From 23 to 24 recently, it's been an increase of 0.6%, and it's grown by 5 times. The Christian population has multiplied by 5 since 48. Let's contrast that with the Christian population in Palestine. 90% decline since 1922.
Oh, okay. So that's even dumber than I thought. I thought he was referring to Palestine at the beginning there. No, he's talking about Christian Zionists in Israel?
Yes. And so the thing that's happening here is, if you ask Christians in Palestine why they're leaving, they blame Israel. And here's a piece from AmericaMagazine.org, I believe a Catholic magazine. Indians, Christians have lived in Palestine since the origins of Christianity about 2,000 years ago. Over the centuries, Christians immigrated to Palestine. Palestinian Christians comprised at least 15% of the Palestinian population in the late 19th century under Ottoman Muslim rule, and about 7.5% in 1944 in the final years of the British Mandate. During the 1948 war, which resulted in the establishment of the State of Israel and much of historic Palestine, more than a third of Palestinian Christians were among the 750,000 refugees forced to flee their homes in Palestine. The Israeli historian Ilan Pape describes Israel's war of independence, we've had Pape on the show, which Palestinians call the Nakba, as the ethnic cleansing of Palestine. So Crowder is saying, again, their raw numbers may have slightly increased, although that's only if you zoom into specific numbers. What's happening is a large number of Israelis are drowning out that population. So in all these holy places, yeah, the raw number might go up. The percentage is shrinking and shrinking and shrinking, because who's allowed to move there? Stephen, who is allowed to move to these places? Is it Is it Christians? Are Christians allowed to move into Israel? Or is it Jews? Is it exclusively Jewish folks or in these settlements? Stephen Crowder supports these settlements more than he supports the indigenous Christians to Palestine. That's what's happening right here.
I don't know. You don't have a bell, though.
Ding! It's so Pavlovian.
In Palestine, 90% decline since 1922. It's a factually incorrect statement, and both of them make it. I'm just asking questions. Here's the thing. I can't stand AIPAC, and I don't think that the United States should be supporting Israel to the tune of billions of dollars like we do. I think it's good to have an ally, and I hope that they blow up every single last member of Hamas until they get their hostages back.
You mean Tucker doesn't know the Christian population of a country he wants to hate?
Neither do y'all.
Well, I mean, also,
Yeah,
one important thing to understand about the Christians especially the Arab Christians in Israel, is that they're also not fans of the Israeli state, though. Like, a lot of them are driven there due to the same reasons people are driven to, like, richer states and regions. Like, there's like a wealth issue when it comes to Israel that drives refugees from other parts of the Middle East. But when you actually, at least from the recent poll, like the most recent poll I was able to find from Pew like weeks ago, which was again a while ago, they don't support the Israeli ethno-state project. They think, along with the Arab Muslims in the region, that Israel can't be an apartheid state and a democracy at the same time. So just talking about the number of Christians there is irrelevant to the realities that they face on the ground, and how they feel about the Israeli state project, which is bad. They don't like it there.
How could he not know the population of a country he wants to hate?
Yeah, well, he also knows the opposite of truth, which is it's declining. Now, I know people, you can like Tucker. Hey, that's why we have an admonish button. This is factually incorrect. Here's another one that's made, that Christians, specifically Christians, need a permit to travel to Jerusalem.
A Christian who lives in Bethlehem cannot go to Jerusalem, to the Holy Sepulchre, without a permit by Israel, and they don't usually give those permits, especially now.
A Christian can't.
No, without permission from Israel.
She smiled.
That's interesting because I mean those Christians that you're describing, I mean, they're the descendants of the Christians.
Absolutely,
who
yeah.
were converted
They've
by
been there
Jesus.
from the beginning. Yeah.
So specifically, Christians can't. And then reiterate, so Christians can't. All Palestinian citizens need permits to travel between Israel and Palestinian governed areas.
So what this is an admission of is that it's not about religion. This is a racist apartheid. And it doesn't matter if you're Christian Palestinian or Muslim Palestinian, you do not get to go within Israel, which is a place that we're not even clear where the borders are. Are we going to Greater Israel? So are we going to even be able to go into like Jordan after a certain amount of time?
That's the one good source he has too, B'Tselem, which just proves everyone's point about, and also maybe but also sort of undercuts again Tucker's focus on this as a Christian, a story of Christian, anti-Christian hate, basically, and it's about Zionism and imperialism, which the right's narrative about this
it's about
obscures.
Racist nationalism, not religious sectarianism. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, look, we're just putting our journalism hat on. We're just asking questions. Could you guess why? Do you think maybe there's some security issues? Do you think maybe the idea of now wherever you line up, I wouldn't fault Palestinians and Hamas for requiring permits. The fact is, no one actually goes there because they get shot at. But I wouldn't
shot at by the Israelis.
Yeah, right.
fault them. If you're at war, it's like, hey, do you think we need a permit? I don't know. How many rockets have been launched at our civilian population today?
Nah, come on in.
But they make it sound like it's just Christians.
Wait. What do you mean, come on in? What? Gaza, people can't leave. That was the other point I wanted to make about his thing about Palestinian terrorism and that they would kill us. They would kill us. This hysterical little man baby. Does he have his holsters on yet? Maybe that's why he's feeling a little scared.
Can't wear it during the custody battle.
Yeah, the gun is gone. There's no gun visible, Stephen.
No, but it's a concentration camp, you psycho. Yeah, it's dangerous. And why is that? Because Israel's bombing the hell out of them. And it's also the reason that they are not a terroristic threat to the United States, because they literally can't leave the concentration camp.
We played this clip of Smotrich saying that our response will come not in documents, not in decisions or declarations, but in facts. In the facts of houses, in the facts of neighborhoods, roads, and more Jewish families will build lives. He does not. That is Jewish lives. And that is not just to dilute, but mainly to dilute the Palestinian Muslim population. But there are Palestinian Christians, and that people like Smotrich, that Crowder capes for, are every bit as set on diluting their demographic as they are as the Muslims in Palestine. That's what the facts on the ground are for. They are to dilute the demographics of those people. That's what Zionism is.
With the lie that the Christian population is decreasing exclusively in Israel, when the opposite is true, makes a case based on a scenario that's a lie. This idea that Israel is the most anti-Christian nation in that region, whereas the other ones are tolerant. It's not true. Here's another one that's factually incorrect. It's just not even close. That Israel and the United States specifically installed a new regime in Syria.
I find it mind-boggling.
This is 100% true.
This is just basic news, man.
I mean, I don't even.
Jelani's pro-Israel.
Yeah. Do we need more of that? I mean,
no, we don't. But let's just say, like, you mentioned about Israel looking for influencers, and
yes,
Steven Crowder is not somebody they've had to cultivate. This is from Steven Crowder's very first YouTube video on his channel. It was entitled "Go Team Israel," in parentheses, featuring Obama's boobs.
Oh, he loves looking at Obama's body.
So we have the entire Crowder experience here, some weird sort of
gay
stuff, and then supporting Israel. But here he is. This is from his very first video.
Manages to keep a very small, unattractively frail stature while maintaining virtually zero muscle mass whatsoever. I guess those cigarettes are catching up with him. Here's to hoping you don't fall off the wagon again, big guy. In case some of you out there don't know where I stand, go Team Israel! To Israel, listen, despite current trends or political winds, just know that you guys have some serious allies here in the States, and we love you, we support you, and Godspeed.
Oh my God. That needs to be a drop, by the way.
Isn't that crazy?
Go Team Israel! And he did the power salute too. Go on, Brandon.
No, it's just surprising. He's like a Manchurian candidate.
Yeah.
I just thought it was so funny. I just thought it was so funny when he said earlier, like he did his little addendum to the conservative audience watching his show. I know it's uncouth to go after Tucker Carlson. It's not very popular to do, and it's like, dude, you're saying that while defending Israel. It's like, what?
and I'll just say his little thing of, look, I don't want to give them billions of dollars, but I do want them to be an ally. This is what you're allied with, Stephen.
Yeah.
You're allied with Israelis taking over all of the Holy Lands from the books that you purportedly live your life by, with brutal force, with guns, with rifles, giving settlers like Smotrich rifles to go and just murder people in the streets. And you've had multiple churches bombed. I mean, that's the other thing they don't even get into, because that's what Crowder's audience, like, if they heard like that woman say, yes, Israel is intentionally targeting churches, which they are. They have bombed churches. Why haven't we heard about that?
Well, I think one thing you have to understand about people like Steven Crowder, too, which I think not something he's going to articulate for his audience, because not everyone in his audience will feel this way. A lot of people feel like, Christianity is synonymous with whiteness. That's why, like, Jesus is portrayed as white. And so for a portion of his audience who are Christian, it's going to be hard for them to believe that there could be Arab Christians, because we've homogenized that entire region to be like Muslim, to justify like this bombing of them, because, being being a Muslim is like being a barbarian. And so for some people who find out in his audience that there are Christians there, this is going to be their first time even imagining that there could be like an Arab Christian. And for some people in his audience, they won't even be able to bridge that gap. They won't be able to understand it. So he's relying, I think, on his audience being very, very dumb and having been fed a very, very steady diet of like dehumanizing propaganda about the Middle East. And part of that propaganda is to make them seem as alien to your average suburban like Westerner as possible. Like, they can't be Christian. They can't have families. They can't have women who have rights. They must just be an entirely barbaric like region.
Yeah.
let's just play a little bit more of this interview with
Sure.
The nun here, because this is I think a key question that what Crowder's like, what's all the Muslims that are driving the Christians out and that sort of thing. This is a very important question.
Week, while they have swimming pools in their settlements and green plush grass that Christian Zionists are paying for.
Have you, you know, a lot of Christians in the Holy Land. How many support the government of Israel? Do you know?
The Palestinians within Israel?
Yeah, Christians support the government of Israel.
I don't know that they would be any that really would. What's the especially now? I mean, they're literally throwing out Palestinian representatives.
So in the U.S., there's a sense that Christians support this program.
Of course not. And to the, you know, when I first moved there in '98, there was hope for peace, and there was a much stronger peace movement within Israel. People who recognized not just a cold peace, but that we can live together. And we should work towards that. But that's certainly been abolished.
It's just so strange.
There you go.
None of the Christians in the Holy Land support Israel. Christians in what? Denton? Where's Crowder living these days? Texas?
Yeah.
They love Israel.
Also a lot of Westerners have been fed like a very like vulgar understanding of Judeo-Christianity, which is entirely meant to sell an evangelical Christian
Zionism.
Zionism, like evangelical Zionism, as opposed to understanding like Abrahamic religions, which would include like, you know, Islam.
Yep.
Well, very hilarious stuff by Stephen. I'm sure that if he wants, he can get some of that Sweet Israel MAGA money that seems like there's a lot of folks auditioning for.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.